It's story time.
As I stood before the grand façade of the old hotel, a shiver ran down my spine. Its imposing architecture loomed over me, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch out like ghostly fingers, beckoning me closer. The Grand Windsor Hotel had always been a place of intrigue and fascination in my hometown. Nestled amidst a backdrop of towering oaks and draped in an air of mystery, it had earned a reputation as the most haunted establishment in the region. My decision to spend a night at the Grand Windsor was impulsive, spurred on by the tantalizing stories I had heard from the locals. Whispers of ghostly apparitions, eerie footsteps in the dead of night, and spine-chilling tales of unexplained occurrences had swirled around this place for decades. As a lover of the supernatural and a seeker of the unknown, I could not resist the allure of a stay at the infamous hotel. I pushed open the heavy wooden doors, and the lobby greeted me with a mixture of faded grandeur and an aura of decay. The check-in counter, once a polished mahogany marvel, had lost its luster over the years. A solitary clerk, with tired eyes and a tired smile, welcomed me to the Grand Windsor. "Room 313, she said, handing me an antique brass key. Her voice carried a hint of melancholy, as if she knew the secrets this hotel held. With key in hand, I navigated the labyrinthine hallways of the hotel, each turn leading me deeper into its history and its mysteries. The air grew heavy, and a faint scent of lavender and old books lingered, like echoes from a bygone era. As I reached the third floor and approached room 313, the hallway seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. But I brushed aside my unease. After all, I had come here to experience the supernatural. Upon entering the room, I was struck by its elegance. Antique furnishings, faded tapestries, and ornate fixtures transported me back in time. The room, though eerily silent, exuded an atmosphere of quiet grandeur. I settled in, relishing the thrill of my impending encounter with the unknown. As twilight turned to inky darkness, I prepared for the night ahead. Armed with a notebook, a flashlight, and a sense of both anticipation and trepidation, I switched off the lights and settled into the room's plush armchair. The only source of illumination was the soft glow of a single candle, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The hours ticked away, and my initial excitement slowly gave way to restlessness. The Grand Windsor remained stubbornly silent, and I began to wonder if I had been drawn into the myth of the haunted hotel. But just as doubt began to creep in, a faint sound reached my ears, a soft, mournful wail, like the distant cry of a lost soul. My heart quickened as I strained to locate the source of the sound. It seemed to emanate from the corner of the room, near an antique vanity mirror adorned with faded photographs of people long gone. I cautiously approached, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet, and stared into the mirror, my breath catching in my throat. In the reflection, I saw a woman, her figure obscured by a veil of mist. Her eyes, hollow and sorrowful, bore into mine, and her lips moved soundlessly, as if trying to convey a message from beyond. The room grew icy cold, and I could feel the weight of a presence, a spectral entity, lingering in mine. As terror seized me, I fumbled for the flashlight and switched it on, illuminating the room. The woman's apparition vanished, leaving behind a trail of icy chills that sent shivers down my spine. With trembling hands, I jotted down my experience in my notebook, recording every detail as proof of the supernatural encounter. It was a moment I had longed for, yet it had filled me with an unsettling mix of fear and awe. The night pressed on, and I continued to document the strange occurrences that unfolded in room 313. Muffled footsteps, disembodied whispers, and the occasional chill in the air served as constant reminders that I was not alone. It was as if the spirits of the past had awakened, sharing their stories with me in the darkness. The Grand Windsor Hotel had lived up to its chilling reputation, revealing glimpses of a haunted history that refused to remain hidden. It was a place where the line between the living and the dead blurred, where the echoes of bygone eras reverberated through the corridors. As dawn approached, I finally allowed myself to surrender to exhaustion, my weary eyes closing for a few hours of restless sleep. The next morning, I checked out of the Grand Windsor, leaving behind a room that held secrets beyond my comprehension. Though I had ventured into the realm of the supernatural, I couldn't help but wonder about the stories left untold, the specters whose presence lingered within those aging walls. The Grand Windsor Hotel would forever remain an enigma, a place where the past and the present intertwined, where the mysteries of the beyond whispered their secrets to those who dared to listen. The Riverside Inn, with its charming facade and picturesque location along the riverbanks, had always been a place of enchantment for me. It was a haven of tranquility in the heart of the bustling city, a perfect getaway from the chaos of daily life. Little did I know that my stay at this idyllic hotel would turn into a harrowing ordeal that I would never forget. I had booked a weekend getaway at the Riverside Inn to celebrate my recent promotion. It promised serene views of the river, cozy accommodations, and a chance to unwind and savor the beauty of nature. As I arrived at the inn on a crisp Friday evening, the sun was casting a warm golden glow over the water, and the inn's vintage charm was in full display. The reception area was adorned with antique furniture and floral arrangements that exuded an air of timeless elegance. A friendly concierge welcomed me and handed me the key to my room, assuring me that my stay would be nothing short of splendid. With excitement, I ascended the creaking staircase to my room on the third floor. The hallway was dimly lit, with antique sconces casting dancing shadows on the wallpaper. The ambience was inviting, reminiscent of a bygone era. My room was a cozy retreat, with a large bay window that overlooked the river. The soft, floral patterns of the curtains swayed gently in the breeze, and the room was adorned with vintage photographs and delicate porcelain figurines. It was a place that seemed to exist outside of time, a sanctuary from the fast-paced world. As evening descended, I decided to dine at the inn's quaint restaurant. The menu boasted of delectable dishes and an extensive wine list, and I was eager to savor a taste of the culinary delights that the Riverside Inn had to offer. I settled into a corner table by the window, my gaze drifting out toward the river as the sun dipped below the horizon. The restaurant was intimate, with soft jazz playing in the background and the warm glow of candlelight adding to the cozy atmosphere. As I perused the menu, a young couple caught my eye. They were sitting at a nearby table, engrossed in each other's company, their laughter and affectionate gestures painting a picture of bliss. It was a reminder of the simple joys that life could offer. The delicious meal was a delightful prelude to a restful night's sleep. I returned to my room, which had been thoughtfully prepared with fresh linens and a turned-down bed. The sound of the river outside provided a soothing backdrop as I drifted into slumber. But as the night wore on, I was jolted awake by a sound that sent shivers down my spine, a faint, scraping noise coming from the hallway. My heart raced as I strained to listen, and it became apparent that someone was attempting to pick the lock of my door. Panic surged through me as I realized the gravity of the situation. I reached for my phone and dialed 911, whispering my location and the threat I faced. I held my breath, praying that the police would arrive in time to thwart whatever sinister plan was unfolding outside my room. With bated breath, I watched as the doorknob turned slowly, and the door inched open. A figure, cloaked in darkness, slipped inside the room with a stealthy grace that sent chills down my spine. As the intruder moved closer, I glimpsed the glint of a knife in their hand. Fear coursed through me, but I knew I had to remain calm and composed. My life depended on it. With a sudden surge of adrenaline, I leaped from the bed and made a run for the window. I knew that escape was my only chance at survival. I could hear the intruder's heavy breathing behind me, their footsteps closing in. I flung open the window and prepared to make a daring jump. The cool night air rushed against my skin as I teetered on the edge, my heart pounding in my chest. I glanced back at my assailant, their face still obscured by the shadows. But then, to my astonishment, a voice cried out from the darkness. It was the young couple from the restaurant, the same couple whose laughter had filled the air with happiness earlier that evening. They had heard my struggles and had rushed to my aid, calling the police and arriving just in time to thwart the attack. The intruder, realizing that the situation had turned against them, fled into the night, leaving behind a trail of fear and confusion. The police arrived shortly afterward, and I recounted the harrowing ordeal I had endured. The young couple, their names were Emily and David, had not only saved my life, but had also helped ensure that the intruder would face justice. Their bravery and quick thinking had been nothing short of heroic, and I was overwhelmed with gratitude. As the police conducted their investigation, it was revealed that the intruder had been a former hotel employee who had been dismissed for suspicious behavior. He had held a grudge and had returned to the inn with sinister intent. The Riverside Inn, which had once been a symbol of serenity, had become a place of danger and terror that fateful night. The incident shook the community and served as a stark reminder that danger could lurk even in the most idyllic of settings. I returned home with a newfound appreciation for life and the simple pleasures it offered. My stay at the Riverside Inn had taken a dark turn, but it had also introduced me to the kindness and bravery of strangers like Emily and David. The events of that night would forever be etched in my memory, a reminder of the fragility of life and the resilience of the human spirit. The Riverside Inn, with its timeless charm and riverside beauty, would always hold a special place in my heart, a place where a terrifying ordeal had been met with courage, and where strangers had become my heroes. Life had always been a relentless storm, battering me with its waves of despair and sorrow. I had reached a point where I could no longer bear the weight of my misery. It was on the precipice of despair that I found myself standing outside the doors of the Lighthouse Inn, a quaint hotel perched on the edge of a cliff, its windows gleaming like beacons of hope in the darkness. The decision to come to this place had not been made lightly. My life had become an unbearable burden, a relentless cycle of pain and sadness that seemed impossible to escape. I had no one to turn to, no one who truly cared about the torment that consumed me. As I entered the inn's lobby, a heavy cloak of despair hung over my shoulders. The air inside was warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the cold, bleak world outside. The soft hum of conversation and the tinkling of a piano greeted me, creating an atmosphere of comfort and serenity. The inn's decor was charming, with nautical motifs adorning the walls and cozy armchairs arranged around a roaring fireplace. A receptionist with kind eyes welcomed me and checked me into a small room overlooking the cliffside. She smiled warmly and wished me a pleasant stay, aware of the storm that raged within me. My room was simple yet comforting, its windows offering a breathtaking view of the crashing waves below. The sea, with its vastness and unpredictability, had always captivated me. It was a reminder of the profound mysteries of life, of the depths that lay beneath the surface. As I settled into the room, my thoughts grew darker and more desperate. The weight of my existence pressed down on me like an anchor, threatening to drag me beneath the waves. The pain, the loneliness, it all seemed too much to bear. I had brought with me a small vial of pills, a potent concoction that would release me from the torment of my life. It sat on the bedside table, a grim promise of the peace I so desperately craved. The abyss beckoned, and I was ready to surrender to its embrace. But fate had other plans, as I would soon discover. As the evening descended into night, I couldn't escape the nagging feeling that something was amiss. A restlessness gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, urging me to reconsider my decision. I wandered down to the inn's bar, hoping that perhaps a drink would numb the pain, if only for a fleeting moment. The bar was dimly lit, the soft glow of lanterns casting gentle shadows on the worn wooden tables. I took a seat at the counter, my gaze fixed on the glass of whiskey in front of me. It was there, amidst the flickering candlelight and the faint strains of a melancholic melody played on the piano, that I met him, a man named Gabriel. He was a worker at the inn, responsible for ensuring the comfort of the guests. His eyes held a warmth and kindness that seemed out of place in my world of darkness. Gabriel approached me with a friendly smile, his eyes filled with the genuine concern that I had long forgotten. He asked if I was okay, and for the first time in years, I hesitated before answering. His simple question was like a lifeline, a tiny glimmer of hope in the abyss of despair. I couldn't bear to burden him with the weight of my pain, but something in his demeanor urged me to open up. With trembling words, I began to share my story, the years of anguish and suffering that had brought me to this precipice. Gabriel listened intently, his compassion unwavering. He didn't offer empty platitudes or hollow advice. Instead, he simply offered a listening ear and a shoulder to lean on. In that moment, it was enough. As the night wore on, Gabriel and I talked about life, about the beauty that could be found even in the darkest of times. He shared stories of the inn, of the countless guests he had met, each with their own struggles and triumphs. His words were like rays of sunshine piercing through the storm clouds that had consumed my world. Hours turned into minutes, and I found myself no longer alone in my suffering. Gabriel's presence had brought a glimmer of light into the darkness of my soul. He spoke of hope, of the possibility of healing and growth, and for the first time in years, I allowed myself to imagine a future where happiness was not an elusive dream, but a tangible reality. As the night drew to a close, Gabriel made a simple yet profound promise: he would be there for me, not just for that one night, but in the days and weeks to come. He urged me to seek help, to find a therapist who could guide me through the labyrinth of my emotions. With tears in my eyes, I made a choice to put down the vial of pills, to relinquish the grasp of the abyss that had threatened to claim me. It was not an easy decision, nor was it a guarantee of a pain-free future, but it was a step toward healing. In the days that followed, I reached out for professional help, embarking on a journey of self-discovery and recovery. The road was arduous, filled with ups and downs, but I had the support of Gabriel and a newfound community of friends who understood the depths of my despair. The Lighthouse Inn, once a symbol of my darkest intentions, had become a beacon of hope in my life. It was a place where a chance encounter with a compassionate stranger had saved me from the abyss, where the crashing waves below now represented not the end, but a new beginning. As I stand on the cliffside, watching the sun rise over the horizon, I am reminded of the vastness of life's mysteries, of the resilience of the human spirit. I owe my second chance at life to a worker named Gabriel, whose kindness and compassion had illuminated my path from the darkest of nights to the dawning of a new day. The storm has not entirely abated, and the waves of despair still crash against the shores of my heart. But I am no longer adrift in the abyss. I have found my lighthouse, my reason to keep fighting, and for that, I am eternally grateful.
Until next time, take care.